Hello everybody. Hello and welcome. Today I'm quite literally on top of the world. It feels like it. This is really high ground. It's one of the highest stretches of ground we have. And those line of hills you see behind me, that's the Pennines. And that's also the spine of the north of England. So today this is one of my past life stories. And this one was really important to me, and it had a tremendous amount of significance. The past lives are done through what they call QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis therapy, and it enables a qualified therapist to take you back through into your subconscious, and so your soul speaks, because we are souls having a life experience, and it just brings out things that you may have been underlying, and you suddenly can piece them all together with your life today, and it's one of your past lives, events that happened to you as a living thing. You might have been an animal, a bird, a fish. You may have been a tree or a rock, or even a human being. So this is your path back to exploring yourself. So this is the story. It's very important to me, and it was probably the most significant of all my past life's experiences. This is called the Path of the Emu. So it feels like I am in a cave, or even underground. Opposite me, I can see a lady's face, and her eyes are closed. I am being shown my dream time. It is evening, and I'm sitting by a fire. The reflections of the flames are flickering against there's a huge orange rock face and sand in front of me. And I'm sort of sitting on my haunches. I can see my hands and I can see my legs. The therapist asks me if I am a male or female. And I am an Indigenous boy. I am wearing a string of seeds or beads around my waistline. And then there's a cloth covering the front of me. I have large seed pods, and they appear to be about that sort of big, the large seed pods. And they're attached to my waist, and I understand those to carry water in them. I have young, thin, bony, long-fingered hands. And I also have a stick in my right hand. Then I look around and I realise this is not a cave, it's actually open ground. And I can see the night sky and the universe twinkling in the darkness. And you know what? I know exactly where I am. I recognised it. Because this is Katajuta. This is Australia. I feel very relaxed here in this place. And this is home. So I'm asked by the therapist to describe myself. So I have bushy, unkempt, but not long hair. I have a white line on my cheeks, and I sort of see it going like that. It seems to be one continuous line. And I also have white lines going down the front of my legs. I believe I'm at my rite of passage ceremony. And the women are moaning and singing in front of the rock face. And they're up to the right of me. And the men are up to the left. But they're slightly behind me. I must do something with fire. And it feels like a ritual. I couldn't see what it was I did, whether I walked through it or what I did. But I think my age is round about 13 or 14 years old, but I don't really have an understanding of age. The number doesn't matter. It's of no significance. It just happens to be about the right time in my life. So the stick in my right hand is about 2 foot long, and I'm holding the thinner end. It has a root ball at the other end, and the root ball is orange coloured. And I can see faces in this stick all along the wood. I can see faces there. And I understand that the wood, the stick, it's alive. It's a living thing. And I understand it has my ancestors' energies either attached within, but that it's significant. The stick and the ancestors are significant. I now have a choice to make. And the gathering are waiting. They are waiting for me to choose. And the fathers are rolling leaves, and they blow it. And it's like a smoking ceremony. There's smoke all around. And I think that's to cleanse me, like we would smudge. To cleanse me from any evil spirits or anything that was not pure. So in front of me on the ground are 4 emu egg shells. And they are lying in like a crescent shape. And it's sort of like half a shell face down in the sand. And I must choose the correct egg. The choice that I make is the life path that I will be taking. And the shells, they're in this semicircle, and underneath each shell is the footprint of a corresponding animal. So the eggshells are huge. They're not little eggshells like that. They are really big eggshells. And they are lying dome up in the sand. They vary in size. They go from very large to quite small. Now, I think they are white. And I think it's like white paint, the same sort of paint that's on my face that has painted these shells. So I chose the second shell from the left. It was the eggshell that I was most drawn to. I took a very long time to decide, and I had to decide the correct one. It was important for me to make the right choice. I am very aware that I am being judged on my wisdom and my ability to be able to choose wisely. So when the shell is lifted from the sand underneath, imprinted in it, embedded in it, is the footprint of an emu. I have chosen the path of the emu. So a celebration now ensues, and everybody is celebrating. I'm allowed to dance in ceremony. So that must mean to dance with the men. And the emu path takes me through the gorge, through what I now know is the Valley of the Winds. And everyone follows and goes through the gorge. Men only. The women remain around the fire. They are cooking the food. And I believe the food is actually an emu, because I can see legs sticking upright from the ground. It is a sacred event, and I am no longer a child. The emu footprint on the ground is it's sort of like a reversed arrow, and this guides me on my path of life. I didn't choose the biggest egg, and I am saying I think it would be thought of as greedy. I had to choose wisely. So this ceremony involves somebody wearing an animal's head, and I can't quite make out what kind of animal. I just know that they've put either some kind of headdress on that appears to be like an animal's head. And they're chasing away spirits. And standing very close to my face, right in front of me, is an old man. And he is an elder. And he's looking very directly at me, and without using his voice Telepathically, he is telling me about the serpents, and this is an oral story of tradition. It's the key to life. And the animal's head is then buried in the sand. So moving forward, this is some time later, I'm not sure it's a few days or how further forward. I seem to be on an embankment looking down on like a valley floor. I'm on higher ground and I can see in front of me a wheel spinning. And it's made of wood. And there's water coming out of one side of it. And what I'm actually seeing is the gold processing. It's a trammel. So the elder is now speaking to me. This is our gold on our land. And they are stealing it. It belongs to the land. We receive some kind of energy from the gold. And I don't feel that it's for the taking. It belongs to the land. I am being shown future events. And what I understand is what I have is not mine. And that's what we all will be up against. The white man will take it. I cannot change it. We know about the land, and that will always be my knowledge. You see, the land talks. The wind sings, and I can hear it. This is my dream time. The Great Mother speaks to me. The emu guides me. So I must follow this path. This appears to be a long ceremony that sort of takes place over several days. The QHT therapist asks me if I know my name. I'm King Billy. The therapist asks me, who's King Billy? Well, that's me. It's my nickname. It's taking the piss. I'm the leader of my tribe, and I now represent them. I'm around many people. I'm now old. And they call me King Billy, but it's not my given name. I'm surrounded by the white fella, the black fella, but there's also film cameras, press. Now I'm able to date this because of the type of press camera that has the big round flash on it. Pops. So I am a seed of the earth. We are all seeds of the earth. I'm old. I have a white beard, white hair. I'm very scruffy. In fact, as I'm looking down myself, I'm absolutely filthy. I have an open shirt on. I have dirty, cut-off trousers and no shoes on, just dusty, dirty feet. So the therapist then asks me if I am married. And I feel this smile and joy on my face. I say, yes, I had a wife. And I also have children. The crowds, and they're mainly white folk actually, they seem to think I'm crazy. They're looking at me with intrigue, like I am an object of curiosity. I'm famous for a reason. I stood up to the white man. Life, it's the old ways. Yes, word of mouth. The spoken word is our story. Things will not be the same. And I was given recognition in my lifetime. Before I was nothing. And that's why they now call me King Billy. So the therapist now moves me forward to the end of my lifetime. I like it that we are heard. We always hear Mother Earth and the ground speaks. I then visibly pick up dirt and sand in my hands and I wash my face with the earth. because we go back to the earth. And in my vision, I can now see my wife. She is smiling. She is waiting for me. We are together. It was a good life. And that, my friends, that was The Path of the Emu. I hope you enjoyed it. What I should say is that I have done, since that, I have done quite a bit of research. It occurred to me that it was coming into more modern times. And the mention of the cameras and the press. And I thought there must have been some event that I was at that was, or that King Billy was at, should I say, that was special. And I wondered if it had ever been recorded, if you were even able to look it up. So I did a lot of research, and the King Billy in question refers to a man, I believe is called Jimmy Clements. I think he was born in the 1860s-ish. So the story is that he had made his way to some event that was happening in Canberra. Canberra became the capital of Australia, and I think this event happened in the 1920s, towards the end of the 1920s. And it was something with Parliament, to do with the Parliament there. And King Billy had walked, and I think it was a long time. It's something like 600 miles. And he'd walked to this event. And when he arrived, he had another man with him, and I guess he was also of a similar age. And they had walked, and this is why they were a curiosity to the crowd. And the press cameras were sort of looking around, looking at them. Anyways, they decided that as they were now Australians, everybody was Australians, that they would go into the Parliament, and they were stopped. No, you can't come in, because of course they were classed as being a lesser being because they were an indigenous population. So they thought, okay, we'll just stand outside. Anyways, one of the bigwigs, MPs or somebody, decided they were missing a trick, and they decided to ask them in. They said, no, let's have them in. And then, of course, all the crowd that saw them as curiosities were then sort of, really, wow, he must be somebody. And that's when the photographs are taken. So there is a photograph of this King Billy. I'd not heard of him before. There is also another one in Tasmania, but his time frame doesn't fit at all. Now, there's a very weird link with this. For years, I have been looking at the history of famous women, the women that did things for Australia. And there are several. There was Edith Cowan, Ida Stanley, Ernestine Hill, and Daisy Bates. And they did remarkable things in and for Australia. Now, Daisy Bates came from Ireland, and I have read a lot about her history, and more so because I thought, I'm just going to look up and see if King Billy is mentioned in any of the books of any of those people that I have. And the only one he's mentioned in is Daisy Bates. So I had to go back through and reread these books. And Daisy Bates is a proper old rogue. She really is. Her whole background was very fictitious. She was a duplicitous old individual. She became a bigamist, but she was one of the early day explorers, and she was a self-proclaimed protector of the Aboriginal people. One of these days, if you're interested, I will actually put a small video up on my channel about Daisy Bates, because it's a very interesting story. Anyway, she was a protector of the Aboriginals, and at a latter part of her life, she actually met King Billy. And it's one of the proudest moments of her life. And you know that she's proud of it because it was a real recognition as well from the Aboriginal people. And she wears it like a badge of honour. She frequently makes, oh, I know King Billy. And do you know King Billy? Yeah, I know King Billy. Yes, I'm friends with King Billy. She met him once. Yes, I'm friends with King Billy. So this was her. And it was a very proud moment. And I thought, how bizarre that somebody whose history I had been interested in, and it turned out that she had met him. And so isn't it weird how the links are all giving you little subtle hints as to what might have occurred in a previous lifetime? We may never have found out about it. So I thought that would be of interest to you. I hope you've enjoyed today's story. It is interesting. It filled me with joy. And for me today, it's the place I want to be and that I want to explore. I've done quite a lot of exploring Australia. I do it by myself in a camper van, and I've written about it quite extensively. So this to me absolutely fascinated me, and I thought this is probably the explanation to what the fascination is in this life was because of the previous life as King Billy. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, my friends, and stay safe. Have a great day, a great week. Namaste.